Do you have any opinions on climate change?
Excuse me?
Do you have any opinions on climate change?
Any opinions on climate change?
Yeah. Do you think climate change is an important problem that the government should protect us against?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is the temperature going down climate change? Like if the average temperature of the world goes down, would that be climate change?
If the average temperature of the world goes down.
Yeah, would that be climate change?
For what span of time? Are we talking about over next season?
Next year, the year after?
Because a lot of times people say, oh, it's a blizzard, so
next few years.
Climate change has been disproven.
No, if it became colder, the world in the next year, the next few years, would that...
The next 100 years, the trend
would that
tended to go down?
Well, if it 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever amount you want to put on it, if the temperature went down, would that be climate change?
I guess you can, yeah.
So, do you want the temperature to go down, or you want it to go up?
I don't know. It's like the questions are a little weird because I'm used to 4 seasons. So of course the temperature is always fluctuating.
We're talking about
the
average temperature of the world. Would you prefer it to be lower, or you would prefer it to be higher?
I would prefer it to stay as it currently is.
Exactly the same. They're not neither higher nor lower. That it.
Well, I think if it trends.
Is there any chance that
downward?
Oh, okay.
Then you know, it's just like. Anything else, you have to have a
if it went down, what would happen? It has to
be a happy medium. It can't be.
But if the temperature went down, that means the ice caps would start to form more again, right?
I would think so.
So you think
that's
is that good? A good thing?
I guess, sure.
Okay, so why do you think the government has to protect us against climate change? If it goes down, the climate changes, but it's a good thing, not a bad thing, according to you.
Well, government intervention is needed because a lot of times people won't do the right thing when left to their own devices. It's just like Brown versus the Board of Education.
Right. So,
but I'm just saying, if the government was going to treat people equally and, you know, give everybody a fair education, then we wouldn't need, you know, you wouldn't have the civil rights movement. We wouldn't need, you know, Brown versus the Board of Education. We wouldn't need affirmative action. If people did the right thing on their own, none of these laws would be needed. But guess what? People don't do the right thing on their own. Therefore, government's needed to make people who, when left to their own devices, wouldn't do the right thing on their own.
Right, but you said that some climate change is good, right? If it goes down, that's climate change, and you would like that to happen. So that's a good thing, not a problem,
yeah,
right?
But not, again, you have to have, it has to stay within a buffer zone. It can't be one extreme or the other. I don't want it to be extremely hot. I don't want it to be extremely cold.
Right. If it went down somewhat,
yes,
that would be
fine.
Climate change, and that would be a good thing. So the government doesn't have to protect us against that kind of climate change, right?
Okay.
So, so some climate changes you want the government to protect us against, and others you don't. Is that correct?
The type of climate change that's going to result in coastal areas slowly being, you know, washed into the ocean. Yeah, I would like the government to protect us from that type of climate change.
Okay, before we continue, what's your name, sir?
Dereck Alexander.
Dereck Alexander.
Yes.
Okay. So why did the environmentalists change the name from global warming to climate change? If we've already established some climate change is not a problem at all. Because you're really concerned with global warming, right? Not with climate change. Why did they change the name?
I don't know, but
well, I have a hypothesis for you.
Okay.
If you argue that there's going to be climate change, you can't lose the argument. Why? Because it's got to either go up or down.
Right.
There's no way to lose. But if you argue that there's going to be global warming, and the next few years it gets colder, they're showing you you just lost the argument. So it appears to be a more defensible position because you can't lose the argument. But it really doesn't really mean anything. Climate change, of course climate change. Doesn't the climate change all the time?
Yeah, but they're talking about the trend over a long period of time. And I mean, you can argue whatever position you want, because people who refute climate change, you know, they'll look at
but is anybody arguing that the temperature will not either go up or down, that it will stay exactly as it is?
See, you're oversimplifying the argument.
Do you know anybody who claims that there will not be any climate change of any kind, either up or down?
Like, as far as climate won't change at all?
Right. So of course you're going to win that argument if you say, "Oh."
But I mean, that's not an argument,
right? Well, that's what the people that are
arguing. I mean,
they're saying there's going to be climate change. Well, of course there's going to be climate change, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's
so who can argue that there isn't going to be climate change? And we've already established that some climate changes you're in favor of.
Okay.
So I asked you, why did they change the name of the issue from global warming to climate change?
Don't know.
Well, it's because you can't lose the argument. If you say I'm against climate change, well, I don't want there to be climate change. Well, how can you say, if you say there's going to be climate change? Mm-hmm. Well, of course, there's nobody that can argue that there will not be climate change.
Okay.
That's the reason why they changed it. So has the
what's going on, brother?
Has the
But actually, I got to go to church.
Oh, okay. Well, it was
sir,
nice talking to you.
Not a problem.
Mr. Alexander.
I wish you the best.
Thank you.